What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. Let's get started and waste no time at all. It is the 7th of January already. First week into January done. 101.8K is the price we're at now, closing yesterday above 102K. Nice, very nice dominant day, 3.9. Almost 4%, basically 4% to the upside, and that was an above average volume day yesterday from open to close, so that's nice as well. That's what we got on the index. Let's look on Coinbase, see if that agrees. Yes, on Coinbase. USDT on Binance. What do we got? Less than average, but still somewhat significant, you know, bigger than most of the days that we see. Not bigger than these days, but not quite average on Binance, but that's okay. If we look at this here, if we look at the relative high to low here, I'm not going to get the fake out low, but this low. We are at the golden ratio zone, the 618 to 69. So don't be surprised, don't be discouraged, my friends, if we go back below $100,000. We really haven't. I mean, if we put a line here real quick, we put a line at $100,000 right here. This is the line, okay? This is that number that everybody thought would be such a huge hurdle, and we've disrespected the hell out of it. And it was a huge hurdle for a very long time, but this cycle, once we got up to it, it really wasn't that long that it took us to get above it. But then once we got above it, we got back down below it, back above it. You know, we've just disrespected the hell out of this. So all I'm trying to say is don't get discouraged if we go back below it. It's actually not that significant of a line. The more significant line, just looking at it from this perspective, the line that we don't want to break would be this line on a closing basis, right? 92.7K, or this line on a closing basis, maybe 92K itself. This line here, you know, is stuff like this, previous areas of resistance, not the 100K line itself. That line, it doesn't really matter. So all I'm trying to say is we're here from a high to a low at the golden ratio. Pulling back to the 0.5 or the 382 is a very common thing to do. It's an extremely common thing to do. So don't be thrown off by that. The fact that we moved up like this, we didn't go from the 382 to the 236. We went to the 382, consolidated around here, and then just moved up, tells me likely that the odds would be that we do bounce at the 0.5. Throw that in with the fact that, you know, at that 0.5 there, I'm going to delete the fibs. At that 0.5 right there where that low would be, it's at previous areas of resistance here, previous areas of resistance there, previous areas of support there. It's actually right at that 100K area. That's kind of funny. I'm just talking about how we're not going to find significance at it, but we actually might find some significance right there. I think we do go just below 100K. Again, that's kind of the main thing I was talking about. Probably not lower than 99K, but if we do go below 99K, it's okay. We could go to 98K. These lines, this green line here, the 0.5 and the 382, it's very common after moving up to the golden ratio to pull back and find support and then continue higher on either of these lines, but not just on the lines. Somewhere in between is possible too. So it doesn't mean we have to go here or we have to go here. It's either we go here or somewhere in between here and here, right? It's just kind of a range. So anyways, 101.7K now. Price is below 100K probably today or tomorrow, or I would assume in a very short amount of time. But I think overall, over the days, over the weeks, you know, maybe it's like a day or two or three at the most that it takes us to pull back here. Over the days, we're going to continue moving up. I suspect that potentially by the end of this week, you guys, we're on the week right here, 5 days, 21 hours left, so we're at the very beginning of this week. I assume that by the end of this week, we could be at new all-time highs. If not, maybe it takes, you know, 3 days to have this pullback, another 3 days to pull up, and then going into next week, we'll expand higher and see new all-time highs. But I would assume, if not by the end of this week, by the end of next week, we'll be at new all-time highs. Definitely expecting a productive week this week nonetheless. I would suspect we are closing above 100K again, right? If you're looking at this on the RSI is looking good. I really do like the fact that we've broken out of this downtrend. We take the highs here, we connect them, connect it all the way through, and you can see that you've broken out of this. Not only that, but you've also broken above the 60 on the RSI, which is a very key area to hold support on. Generally, whenever you're living above this line, living above this area, that's whenever you see some pretty strong movements up and consistent movements up. So here we are above the 60. We're not even getting overbought yet, so that's very encouraging. 4-hour RSI getting overbought, but looking like you could top off. The 4 hours kind of in its own channel, right? Moving up here, higher trend line, lower trend line. You might be at the top of this, so coming down to find support, that's fine, and then move up later. That would all agree with the idea that today might be a red day. If not today, maybe today and tomorrow. If not today and tomorrow, maybe today, tomorrow, and the next day. But I doubt that we see anything too significant. And in fact, in moves like this, I actually did a video. If anybody's watched the video this long, hit that like button and subscribe. I'm about to hit you with a little fun fact here. Whenever we're in the midst of these moves, in these Bitcoin bull market moves where we're breaking out and we're expanding higher, which we don't know if we're in yet, but if we are, what I'm about to say is true. And it's a fun fact. It's something you can put in your back pocket, and it reigns true for most of the time, okay? So when I say most of the time, like 95% of the time or more, whenever you're moving up like this, okay, not when you're consolidating. It's not when you're consolidating, but it's when you're in the midst of one of these bull market moves here like this. Again, bull market move here, consolidation, so it wouldn't apply in the consolidation. Bull market move here, right? Consolidation, it doesn't apply there. Whenever we're making these movements, which I'm assuming we might be in the midst of right now, is the beginning of this next kind of bull market expansion up to our next consolidation phase, you don't see more than like 2 days in a row of red, right? You generally don't see more than 2 days in a row of red. If you do get 3 days in a row of red, what tends to happen is you'll get 2 days red and the third day will close green, but that third day will produce the low and then you wick and you close green. So really you don't get 2 or 3 days of red in a row in these kind of moves. So if this is that move, that's the expectation. If we do consolidate for more than 2 or 3 days, perhaps we're just still in this consolidation phase, so we could try breaking out next week or something like that, right? But just a fun fact. If this is just like the first third or the first half of this next phase up, right? We moved up here, consolidated, and now we're moving out again. If that's the case, likely we will not see this move down. It's at 101.7K now. It'll probably move down below 100K, but nothing really too dramatic below like 99K or 98K. That move would likely happen either today, tomorrow, or the next day, and it would be done by that time. That's the very strong likelihood. That's all that to say, right? So I don't know how valuable of information that is or not, but essentially I wouldn't be surprised if today was red. I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow was green, or at least the next day was green, and we closed this week not just where we are here, but higher. We have a very solid chance this week of closing at new all-time highs, and if not, certainly I would expect it's next week. When we do get above these highs, the next target areas that we're looking for from a high to a low would be anything from 113K to 120K, and this is what they call, or this is what I call, the primary target zone at the 1618 to the 1272 fib extensions right here. I have to sneeze, hold on. That was a big one, man. That was a big one. Got to mute the microphone for that. But yeah, that's the primary target zone. Generally with these smaller fib ranges, you don't just stop in the primary target zone. You actually will see the secondary target zone. So I think expecting anything around 125K to 143K is on the table by the end of this next move, which could take, by the end of the month of January, or more likely it bleeds into February is kind of what my expectation is. But we'll go from there. I definitely expect some high numbers. We're at 101K now, certainly above 125K. Probably even at least to 130K, I would think, is where we are by the end of this month of January, proceeding or going to higher numbers after that. So I got nothing else for you guys. If you like the video, hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. Bye-bye.